Hello, and welcome to the Elingo channel. Today, we're going to talk about something that affects every single one of us, our memory. Memory is not just about remembering facts for a test or where you put your keys. It's much bigger than that. Our memories make us who we are. They help us learn from our mistakes, build relationships, and grow as people. But here's the problem. In today's world, many of us struggle to remember even simple things. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? Have you met someone new and forgot their name just seconds later? Have you studied hard for something important only to find that everything disappeared from your mind when you needed it most? If you said yes to any of these questions, don't worry. You're not alone. Millions of people around the world have the same problems. But here's the good news I want to share with you today. Your memory is not fixed. It's not something you're born with and stuck with forever. Your memory is like a muscle. You can train it. You can make it stronger. You can improve it. Scientists have discovered something amazing about our brains. They can change and grow throughout our entire lives. This means that no matter how old you are, no matter how bad you think your memory is right now, you can make it better. And that's exactly what this guide will help you do. So let's begin this journey together. Whether you're a student preparing for exams, a professional who wants to perform better at work, or someone who just wants to stop forgetting important things, this guide will give you the tools you need. Understanding how memory works. Understanding how memory works. Before we jump into the techniques, let's take a moment to understand how memory actually works. Don't worry, I'll keep this simple. When you understand the basics of memory, you'll know exactly why the techniques we'll learn later are so powerful. Think of memory as a three-step process. First, there's encoding. This is when your brain takes in new information. It's like taking a photograph with a camera. If the photo is blurry, you'll have a bad picture no matter what you do with it later. The same is true for memory. If you don't pay attention when you first learn something, your brain never stores it properly. This is why distractions are your memory's worst enemy. When you are scrolling through your phone while someone tells you their name, your brain never really records that information in the first place. You can't forget something you never truly learned. The second step is storage. After your brain encodes information, it needs to keep it safe. This happens mostly while you sleep. Yes, sleep is that important. During sleep, your brain decides what information is worth keeping and what can be thrown away. Information that seems important or that you use repeatedly gets stored in long-term memory. The third step is retrieval. This is your ability to find and use the information when you need it. Have you ever had something on the tip of your tongue but couldn't quite remember it? That's a retrieval problem. The information is in your brain somewhere, but you just can't access it. Now, let me share something that really changed my perspective. As the wise Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. This means that how you think about your memory actually affects your memory. If you believe your memory is terrible and can't be changed, it will stay that way. But if you approach memory improvement with a positive attitude and real effort, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Why we forget things. Let's talk about why we forget. Understanding this will help you prevent it. There are several reasons why information slips away from our minds. First, there's something called decay. Memories fade over time if we don't use them. It's like a path through a forest. If nobody walks on it, plants grow over it and it disappears. Your brain works the same way. If you don't think about something for a long time, those memory connections get weaker. Second, there's interference. This happens when different memories get mixed up with each other. For example, if you move to a new house, your old address might interfere with remembering the new one. Or when you learn a new language, words from your native language might pop up and confuse you. Third, and this is really important, most forgetting happens because we never paid attention in the first place. We live in a world full of distractions. Our phones buzz. People talk around us. We try to do many things at once. The result? We never truly learn things to begin with. Here's something you need to hear. There's a powerful quote from Robert Collier that says, "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out." This is exactly how memory improvement works. There's no magic trick. There's no instant solution. Building a strong memory takes regular practice. But every small effort you make adds up. Every time you pay attention, every time you review something, every time you practice a memory technique, you're making your memory stronger. The best memory techniques you can use today. All right, now we're getting to the exciting part. Let me share with you some powerful techniques that you can start using right now. These methods have been tested by scientists, used by memory champions, and proven to work by thousands of students and professionals around the world. Technique 1. Pay full attention. I know this sounds too simple, but listen carefully. You cannot remember what you don't notice. In our distracted world, truly paying attention has become rare. Most people go through their day on autopilot, not really noticing anything deeply. So here's what you do. When you want to remember something, give it your complete attention. When you meet someone new, look at their face. Listen carefully to their name. Be fully present in that moment. When you're studying, put your phone in another room. Close all the tabs on your computer that you don't need. Create a space where you can focus completely. Try this exercise. For just 5 minutes a day, practice being fully present. You can do this while eating, walking, or talking to someone. Notice everything. This practice will train your attention muscle, and a stronger attention leads to a stronger memory. Technique 2. The Memory Palace. Now, let me introduce you to one of the oldest and most powerful memory techniques in the world. It's called the Memory Palace, or the method of loci. Ancient Greek speakers used this method to remember hours of speeches without any notes. Today, memory champions use it to memorize thousands of numbers and words. Here's how it works, and it's actually quite fun. First, think of a place you know very well. Your home is perfect. Next, imagine a clear path through this place. For example, start at your front door, walk through the entrance, into the living room, through the kitchen, and so on. Now, here's the creative part. Take the things you want to remember and turn them into crazy, funny, or unusual pictures in your mind. Then place these pictures at different spots along your path. The weirder the picture, the better you'll remember it. Let me give you an example. Say you need to remember to buy milk, eggs, and bread. Imagine a giant milk carton blocking your front door. Picture chickens laying eggs all over your couch. See fresh bread baking in your bathroom sink. These silly images are much easier to remember than just the words milk, eggs, bread. When you need to recall your list, just take a mental walk through your memory palace. You'll see all the crazy images you placed there, and they'll remind you of what you need to remember. Technique 3. Breaking things into chunks. This technique is called chunking, and your brain already does it naturally. You just need to do it more intentionally. Chunking means breaking big pieces of information into smaller, easy-to-handle groups. Think about phone numbers. Which is easier to remember, 5,558,675,309 or 5,558,675,309? The second one, right? That's because breaking it into 3 chunks makes it much easier for your brain to handle. Instead of remembering 10 separate numbers, you only need to remember 3 groups. You can use chunking for almost anything. When you have a long list, group items into categories. When you need to learn something big, break it into smaller parts and learn them one at a time. This makes everything feel more manageable. Technique 4. Create pictures in your mind. Your brain is incredibly good at remembering images. You can probably recognize thousands of faces and places, but you might struggle to remember lists of words. So let's use this strength to our advantage. Whenever you need to remember something, create a detailed picture of it in your mind. Make your mental images colorful, big, and moving. Boring, still images are easy to forget, but vivid, unusual images stick in your memory. For example, if you need to remember that mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, imagine a tiny power plant inside a cell. See the smokestacks. Hear the generators humming. The more detailed your picture, the better you'll remember. Technique 5. Test yourself. This might surprise you, but one of the best ways to remember something is to test yourself on it. This is much more powerful than just reading your notes over and over again. Here's why it works. When you force your brain to retrieve information, you make that memory stronger. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Scientists call this the testing effect, and it's one of the most important discoveries in memory research. So instead of just rereading your textbook, close it and try to write down everything you remember. Instead of looking at flashcards and thinking, yeah, I know that, actually say the answer out loud before checking. The harder your brain has to work to retrieve information, the stronger that memory becomes. Technique 6. Space out your practice. Here's another key technique. Don't try to learn everything at once. Instead, space out your practice over time. This is called spaced repetition, and it's much more effective than cramming everything into one long study session. Here's how to do it. After you learn something new, review it the next day. Then review it again 3 days later. Then a week later. Then 2 weeks later. Each time you successfully remember something, you can wait longer before the next review. Why does this work? Because each time you retrieve a memory, you strengthen it, and spacing out these retrievals makes the memory last longer. It's like watering a plant. One huge amount of water all at once doesn't work as well as regular watering over time. Technique 7. Teach it to someone else. There's a wonderful quote from Benjamin Franklin that perfectly captures this next technique. He said, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." This is so true, and we can use it to boost our memory. One of the best ways to really learn something is to teach it to someone else. When you teach, you have to organize the information in your mind, understand it deeply, and explain it clearly. All of this makes the memory much stronger. Try this. After you learn something new, explain it to a friend, or explain it to yourself out loud, as if you're teaching a child who knows nothing about the topic. If you can explain something simply, you truly understand it. And what you truly understand, you'll remember. Technique 8. Connect new to old. Your brain loves connections. New information sticks better when you connect it to things you already know. The more connections you make, the easier it is to remember. So whenever you learn something new, ask yourself these questions. What does this remind me of? How does this relate to things I already know? Can I think of an example from my own life? These questions force you to create connections, and these connections support your memory. For instance, if you're learning about supply and demand in economics, connect it to your own shopping experience. When something is popular but hard to find, the price goes up. That's supply and demand in action. This personal connection makes the concept easier to remember. Technique 9. Use stories. Humans are natural storytellers. Our brains are designed to remember stories much better than random facts. You can remember the plot of a movie you watched years ago, but you might forget a list of facts you studied last week. So let's use the power of story. When you need to remember a list of things, create a story that links them together. Make the story unusual and memorable. The crazier, the better. Your brain remembers weird things more easily than normal things. For example, to remember that shopping list we talked about earlier, milk, eggs, bread, and apples, you could imagine this story. You're walking down the street and slip on spilled milk. You fall into a giant pile of eggs that splatter everywhere. You use bread to wipe off the egg. Then an apple falls from a tree and hits you on the head. This silly story is much more memorable than the plain list. Taking care of your brain. Taking care of your brain. Now, let's talk about something really important. All the memory techniques in the world won't help much if you don't take care of your brain. Your memory doesn't exist by itself. It's affected by your overall health and lifestyle. So let's look at what you need to do to keep your brain working at its best. Get enough sleep. I cannot stress this enough. Sleep is absolutely critical for memory. When you sleep, your brain doesn't just rest. It's actually very busy processing everything you learned during the day, moving information into long-term storage, and cleaning out waste products. When you don't get enough sleep, your memory suffers badly. Even one night of poor sleep makes it harder to pay attention, learn new things, and remember information. Over time, lack of sleep can lead to serious problems with thinking and memory. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of good sleep each night. Not just any sleep, good quality sleep. To sleep better, go to bed at the same time every night. Make your bedroom dark and cool. Avoid looking at screens before bedtime, and don't drink coffee or alcohol late in the day. If you want a strong memory, make sleep a priority. No amount of study or memory tricks can make up for a tired brain. Move your body. Here's something that might surprise you. Exercise is one of the best things you can do for your memory. When you exercise, more blood flows to your brain. Your brain grows new cells. Your memory gets better. Research shows that people who exercise regularly have better memory and thinking skills. Both cardio exercise, like running and walking, and strength training, like lifting weights, help your brain. Even moderate exercise, like a daily walk, makes a big difference. You don't need to become an athlete. Just aim for 30 minutes of movement most days of the week. Find activities you enjoy so you'll keep doing them. Dance, swim, play sports, walk your dog, or just take the stairs instead of the elevator. Every bit of movement helps your brain. Eat well. Your brain needs good fuel to work properly. The food you eat directly affects how well you can think and remember. So let's talk about what to eat for a better memory. Focus on eating real, whole foods. Eat plenty of colorful fruits and vegetables. They protect your brain cells. Eat fish like salmon, which contains healthy fats your brain needs. Eat nuts, seeds, and whole grains. These foods provide the nutrients your brain uses to build strong memories. On the other hand, try to limit processed foods, sugary snacks, and junk food. These can harm your brain over time. Also, drink plenty of water throughout the day. Even mild dehydration can make it harder to think clearly and remember things. Manage your stress. Manage your stress. Stress is a memory killer. When you're stressed all the time, your body releases hormones that can actually damage the parts of your brain responsible for memory. Stress also makes it harder to pay attention and learn new things. So learning to manage stress is crucial for a good memory. Here are some ways to reduce stress. Exercise regularly, practice deep breathing, spend time in nature, talk to friends and family, do activities you enjoy, and make time to relax. You can't eliminate all stress from your life, but you can learn better ways to handle it. When you manage stress well, your memory works better. Stay connected to others. This might seem surprising, but social connections are important for brain health. People who have good relationships and regular social interaction tend to have better memories as they get older. Why? Because talking to people exercises your brain. Conversation requires attention, memory, and thinking. Social connections also provide emotional support that helps protect against stress and depression, both of which hurt memory. Make time for friends and family. Join groups or clubs that interest you. Volunteer in your community. Have real conversations with people. These social activities keep your mind sharp and your memory strong. Keep learning new things. Your brain operates on a simple principle: use it or lose it. Mental abilities that you use regularly stay strong. Those you don't use get weaker, so keep challenging your brain with new learning throughout your life. Learn a new language. Pick up a musical instrument. Try a new hobby or craft. Challenging books. Do puzzles and play strategy games. Travel to new places. The key is to keep exposing your brain to new experiences and new challenges. Make sure these activities are both challenging and enjoyable. If something feels like boring work, you won't stick with it. Find activities that genuinely interest you. When learning is fun, your brain benefits more. Special memory challenges. Now, let's talk about some specific memory challenges that many people face and what you can do about them. Remembering names and faces. Remembering names and faces. This is probably the most common memory complaint. You meet someone new and 30 seconds later, you've forgotten their name. It's embarrassing and frustrating, but there are tricks that can help. First, pay attention when you're introduced. Really look at the person's face and listen carefully to their name. Most people forget names because they never truly heard them in the first place. Second, repeat the name immediately. Say something like, "Nice to meet you, Sarah." This repetition helps encode the name in your memory. Third, create an association. Connect the person's name to something memorable about them. Maybe Sarah has a bright smile, so you imagine her as Smiling Sarah. Or connect their name to someone else you know with the same name. These associations create memory hooks. Finally, use the name several times during your conversation. Each time you use it, you strengthen the memory. Just don't overdo it and make it sound weird. Remembering what you read. Many people complain that they read books or articles but forget everything soon after. Here's how to remember more of what you read. Before you start reading, ask yourself why you're reading this and what you want to learn from it. This sets up your brain to pay attention to relevant information. While you read, take breaks to think about what you just learned. Don't just rush through. After each section, pause and summarize the main points in your own words. After you finish reading, write a brief summary from memory. After each section, pause and summarize the main points in your own words. After you finish reading, write a brief summary from memory. Don't look back at the text. This retrieval practice strengthens your memory of the material. Finally, discuss what you read with someone else or write about it. Teaching or explaining the information to others is one of the best ways to make it stick. Remembering speeches or presentations. If you need to give a speech or presentation without notes, here's what to do. Don't try to memorize word for word. Instead, memorize the key points and the overall structure. Break your speech into main sections. For each section, identify the key message. Then, use the memory palace technique to remember these key points in order. Place each main point at a location in your mental palace. Practice retrieving your speech from memory multiple times. Each practice session makes the memory stronger, but don't practice by just reading your notes. Instead, practice actually giving the speech out loud from memory. On the day of your presentation, take a mental walk through your memory palace right before you start. This will refresh all your key points, making memory improvement a habit. Making memory improvement a habit. We've covered a lot of techniques and strategies, but here's the truth. Knowing about these techniques isn't enough. You have to actually use them. So let's talk about how to make memory improvement a regular part of your life. Start small. Don't try to use every technique at once. That's overwhelming, and you'll probably give up. Instead, pick one or two techniques that seem most useful for your current needs. Practice them until they become natural. Then add another technique. For example, you might start by simply working on paying better attention. For 1 week, practice being fully present when people talk to you. Notice when your mind wanders and gently bring it back. This one change can make a big difference in your memory. Practice daily. Memory improvement, like any skill, requires regular practice. But the good news is that you don't need long practice sessions. Even just 10 or 15 minutes a day can lead to significant improvements over time. You could practice while doing everyday activities. When shopping, try to remember your list without looking at it. When watching a documentary, pause occasionally and recall what you just learned. When meeting new people, make an effort to remember their names using the techniques we discussed. The key is consistency. A little bit every day is much better than a lot once in a while. Track your progress. It's motivating to see yourself improve, so keep track of your memory progress. This doesn't have to be complicated. You could keep a simple journal where you note what you practiced and how it went. Or you could test yourself regularly and notice if you're getting better. Celebrate small wins. When you remember something you would have forgotten before, acknowledge it. When someone's name comes to you easily, appreciate that victory. These small successes will motivate you to keep going. Be patient with yourself. Memory improvement takes time. You won't become a memory champion overnight. There will be days when you forget things, despite your best efforts. That's okay. That's normal. Don't get discouraged. Think of memory training like physical fitness training. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be in perfect shape. You go regularly, you work at it, and gradually you get stronger. Memory works the same way. Be kind to yourself. If you forget something, don't beat yourself up. Just see it as information about what needs more practice. Every mistake is a learning opportunity. Conclusion: your memory journey starts now. We've covered a lot in this guide. We've talked about how memory works, why we forget, and most importantly, what you can do to remember more. We've explored powerful techniques like the memory palace, chunking, visualization, and spaced repetition. We've discussed how lifestyle factors like sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress management affect your memory. And we've looked at specific strategies for common memory challenges. But here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Your memory is not fixed. It's not something you're stuck with. You have the power to improve it. Every technique I've shared with you has been proven to work by scientific research and real-world experience. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you read this and do nothing, or will you take action? Will you pick one technique and start practicing it today? Will you commit to getting better sleep or managing your stress? Will you make memory improvement a priority in your life? Remember, big changes start with small steps. You don't have to do everything at once. Just pick one thing, one technique, one habit that resonates with you. Practice it until it becomes natural. Then add something else. Your brain is capable of amazing things. You have within you the ability to remember far more than you currently do. The techniques are simple. The science is clear. All that's left is for you to begin. So start today. Pay attention. Create vivid mental images. Test yourself. Space out your practice. Take care of your brain. And be patient with yourself as you develop these new skills. Your memory is one of your most valuable assets. It shapes who you are and what you can achieve. Invest in it. Train it. Strengthen it. You won't regret it. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Now go out there and start remembering everything you need to know. Your improved memory is waiting for you. All you have to do is claim it. Good luck on your memory journey.